Hey, everybody. So here we are, and we're starting the second half of the first day's morning. And again, my introductions tend to be very brief so that we can get to the heart of the matter, which is the conversation at hand. So I'm delighted to introduce Gary Wasner, who's CEO of Hilden, and many other things, including a really trusted, valued friend and advisor, and we are grateful, very grateful. And two dynamic, incredibly talented women, Carly Cushnie and Michelle Ox, Cushnie et Ox, and from there, it's their show. Welcome them, and let's hear what they have to say.
Hi.
Hi.
It's absolutely wonderful to be sitting up here with the two of you in front of an audience so we can talk about the business of fashion and about how the two of you got into it, your challenges, where you see the company going, where you see retail going, and I'd like to hear from your hearts what really the obstacles have been for two dynamic women like you in the fashion industry. I'm going to not speak that much, but I'd rather hear it from you. But there aren't that many female partners in the design area. There are quite a few males. There's Kaufman Franco, there's Proenza Scholar, there's the guys at Rag & Bone. There aren't that many female partners in design. Do you have any sense of why that is?
I think there's also not that many women in design in general. In the industry. I think it's still very much a boys' business. And I think for us, that's been, a really strong selling point for us that, we are two women who really appreciate and understand the female body and what she wants to wear, and we really listen and understand our customer. So for us, it was really a strong selling point that we're two women, we understand what a woman is doing every day and that kind of thing, and that's been really important to our success and our fit of our clothes.
Don't you think that's awfully ironic that traditionally it's been men designing for women?
Well, I think what we bring is that practicality of a woman designing for women, and fashion has that element of fantasy to it, but I think our woman, or the woman we address, has changed so much, and us understanding what she needs, and she demands more from her clothes, and she's kind of living a different way. I think she responds to that need that we're filling for her.
I mean, to me, it makes perfect sense that women should design for women, particularly the style of clothing that you are so well known for. It would be hard for a man to understand how a woman could be comfortable in I don't want to say sexy because that puts it in the wrong category, but there's something very feminine about what you do, and at the same time, there's a bit of risque to it, and yet it's so tasteful. I don't know that a man could do it as well as the two of you do it. Has that part of your design process?
I just think when it comes to designing, I think thinking about a woman, she's not one-dimensional. She needs to go to work, but she wants to look sexy at night. And I think we understand that, and it's not putting her in one box that she's just dressing like this 24 hours of her day. So I think it's the new modern woman, and it's what we're kind of addressing. Like, she goes to work, but she goes for cocktails also. So she needs her clothes to work that way, or she needs a brand where she doesn't get pigeonholed and being one way all the time. And I think that's what's beautiful about our dynamic that we bring to the table. It's two perspectives, and also women designing for women and understanding that.
I mean, you've created a very iconic brand. I mean, people recognize it. It's extremely recognizable. And I'll tell you an anecdotal story. During Fashion Week, I was sitting in the front row with one of the major department stores' fashion directors, and it was not your show, it was another show. And these outfits came down the runway, and he said, "They're trying to do Cushnie, and they're not doing it as well."
Who was that?
And when you say that, and I don't mean to say Cushnie and not Cushnie and Ox, but it's the abbreviated form. And there's something very serious about that comment that's extremely important. How do you view that? How do you take that as, what does that mean to you that they're trying to do Kushni?
I mean, I think it's very, it means a lot to us that our clothes have become so recognizable. I mean, for us, we always really wanted to have a strong DNA because there's so many designers that come out every year. And to really have any kind of voice in this industry when there's so many designers in the States, let alone in Europe and everywhere else, that you've really got to stand out and have a voice. Otherwise, you're just going to get overlooked.
That leads me to a good question. What is your voice? What are the words that describe what your company is about, what your brand is about?
I mean, I think she's confident, strong. As much as we don't want to use the word sexy, she's definitely owns being in her own skin, and she's versatile.
It's definitely like a refined sexy, a minimal sexy. For us, we always want our clothes to be timeless, things that she can go back to. She can shop several different seasons within our collection and mix and match between, fall collection from a few years ago to a spring collection now. So I think, for us, it was really, we wanted to be able to build a woman's wardrobe, so that she could continue to shop with us as she evolved as a woman as well.
Can you tell the people here how the two of you got together, how the company began?
I mean, it really came out of this need. We met at Parsons our junior year, and we shared a very similar design aesthetic. We'd never partnered
at school.
Yeah. We'd never partnered before that, but it really, Kushni Knox came from this need that we just saw as young women about to go into our professional career of what we were seeing. We'd gone through school, we designed, and now going out into the fashion industry, seeing that there was a need for clothing that we wanted to wear that, wasn't androgynous, but wasn't so sexy that, you'd look like a showgirl. And we found that there was our shared aesthetic and a need for this type of clothes. And it was really a discussion after school about what we were seeing and what we felt we wanted. And we've really used that as the voice carrying forward. Like, would we wear this? What do we not see out there? And I think that's been part of our success, because starting, it really came from a need of, this is something I'd want to wear, and I don't see it out there, and no one's doing it. So
how do you manage the design process then? As two people, do you design together a garment? Actually, I know the answers to some of these things, but I'm asking the questions anyway. Do you design separately? Who does the storyboard? Who does inspiration? Where does it come from? How does a team like the two of you work together to create these beautiful collections?
It's very much a back and forth. Because it's, our inspirations can be from many things, from an artist, a film, a travel destination. And so for us, once we've decided what the inspiration is, we'll both do research and then come together and really be like, and she'll be like, oh, I found this, let's add this to the whole spectrum of what we're looking at. And then Michelle normally puts together the storyboard, and then we discuss colors and the way that what we're feeling color-wise, and then we'll both sketch separately, and then we'll meet and edit, and then sketch more and and meet and edit, and sort of feed off each other. She'll do something that'll spring off something in my head, and then it's just.
Do you ever edit each other?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. It's like, oh, I like that.
No, I don't like that. It doesn't work.
Both, but sometimes I'll be like, oh, I really like that. She's like, oh, I sketched it and I don't like it, but I'll be like, so it's very much, yeah, totally back and forth.
It's very much a conversation, and I think people find that unique when we get asked that, how does the sketching process work? I think bringing two perspectives together, I think it's important to have that own voice in the beginning, because that's what makes the collections dynamic, because it's not just one singular thought, and it never is, and with two people there are too many ideas, so it's better to edit, and that's when the cream rises to the top, I guess.
I can tell you that when it comes down the runway, it looks like a perfectly cohesive collection. You would never, if you didn't know it was two designers behind it, you would think this is so clear and perfect in terms of alignment, each piece. And that's pretty impressive, and I don't think it's easy to do, and I really give the two of you a lot of credit for that. But I want to go back to one thing you said a minute ago. You mentioned the word color.
Yes.
Now look at what we're wearing.
Yes.
How challenging is it for the two of you? Because I know you're not print people, you love black and white. How challenging is it to grow a brand and to have to start thinking about color extensions, print extensions, when it's not really that much a part of your aesthetic?
Well, I mean, we listen to our customer a lot, and it's part of it, again, is what we'd want to wear, and black and white has been very good to us. We're not print people, but I think part of the success is over time, if the woman changes and she wants that, I think listening to your customer is the most important thing. And even when we do color, black and white's still our #1 sellers. And at the end of the day, this is also a business, and we wouldn't want to put something out there that she wouldn't want. We're running a business, and she responds to that, and I think she also wants to build that wardrobe with us. And we do love those pops of color and mixing it and doing it in a very graphic way. And I think it pairs with the kind of lines and details that we do. But from the beginning, I mean, staying true to yourself, at this point, if we just threw a print on something, it wouldn't make sense.
Right.
I agree.
We've done the odd print in the past. It's not been something that's been like a real focus for us because, I mean, obviously what we have been known for a lot of the time is our cutouts. And for us, we really use the skin as sort of this play of like almost like a different texture, a different color. You're exposing a different part of your body. So that was something that was kind of added a different element to the clothing. And we also do love, different fabrics with different textures and things like that. So it's not always so flat. There's, more layers to it than just, throwing a print on it. There's other ways to do it.
How do the two of you deal with trend in the market? And let me be a little more specific. The past couple of seasons, all the retailers have been pushing for novelty fabrics and laces and mainly novelty fabric. And you have really stuck to your core, and you've done better and better and better each season, and your sell-throughs at the stores are better and better all the time. So you kind of bucked the trend that they were pushing, and yet it worked. How hard is it to continue to do that when a retailer comes in and says, we want more novelty fabrics, we want more prints? I mean, how does that affect your creative process?
I mean, now that the company has grown, we've almost tripled in size since last year. I mean, there are a lot of voices, but at the end of the day, it's our customer's experience. She's coming back because she knows how that fits, and that's part of it. And she knows what she's getting with us, or if she's discovering us for the first time, it really comes down to fit. And yes, it's nice to use a novelty and see some of the trends or play with texture, but at the end of the day, it's fit and a consistent fit. And I think that's what you would only know as a customer. And I think at the end of the day, it's sell-throughs, and I think once you build that traction with the buyers, it gives you more holding your ground that you're like, look, this will sell. So everything with a grain of salt.
I do not think of you as a trendy brand. I think of you as a very classic brand.
No, absolutely. I mean,
But
you've got to
also
do
very
what
modern,
works.
so-
Yeah, you've got to do what's been working, but then make it better and better each season, but without totally surprising your customer so that she comes back to your brand as like, I don't even recognize this as being Cushionet Arcs. So it's changing it enough, but not totally alienating your customer.
What are the biggest challenges you've faced since you began your business?
I mean, they've changed throughout the years. I mean, also like, for instance, when we started, we couldn't, the stores don't want to pay you until 30 days after you shipped, and then you also have no money to buy fabrics or to get the things made. So that's the first problem. And then, there's fighting for space on the retail floor, trying to convince the retailers that, that you are going to ship on time, because they think, oh, you're new, you're probably not going to ship on time and you don't know what you're doing. And, oh, we've kind of maybe got something similar like that. So it's really sort of pushing your brand message and, making the retailers understand your point of view and really sort of understanding and loving the brand so that they, when it gets to the floor, that they can sell it. Because then if you don't have good sell-throughs, because at that time, we didn't have a lot of press. There wasn't any celebrities on the red carpet wearing our stuff, so the clothes had to sell themselves. So for us, it was, and for us, because of that, we were lucky that our clothes did sell themselves before celebrities wore them. So.
I mean, we started in 2008. That would be the first challenge. And it wasn't the best time if you were going to start a business in 2008, but it allowed us to grow organically and small and smart. And we listened to our customer, and it was 5 of us for a very long time. And it allowed us to not kind of have that hockey puck experience that she was describing, where you can get a lot of acclaim and not be able to deliver. So we were able to grow organically, and I think that allowed us the time to get things right along the way. And I mean, just speaking on how much things have changed, we're only 9 years, going to be 9 years old, the business. Instagram did not exist. Like, that's a weird thing to say, but Instagram didn't exist. I remember, like, having this conversation, like, should we put our stuff on Instagram? Like, celebrity wearing stuff was still kind of not okay. So it's a short amount of time, but so much has changed. And
that leads me to the next question.
With it.
How do you feel about the change in retail and e-commerce versus wholesale today?
I think,
when we talk about challenges in business today, for wholesalers and for retailers, we understand there's been a major shift in the shopping habits of not just millennials, but everyone. I know that you just launched e-commerce,
yes.
Which I think is really exciting. How do you see the business developing? Do you feel you can reach out digitally the way you do when you have an in-store experience?
I mean,
Is it a different consumer?
You have to adapt to what's your surroundings. It's changing, but at the end of the day, we started this Women for Women, and at the end of the day, a woman's still going to want to put on a dress. You have to try it on. And so much of what we built our business on is fit. Whether she gets that now through a store or through e-commerce, at the end of the day, it's about fit, and that's what it is. And you adapt to that, and if that means that she's going to order it online and try it on when she gets home, I think the core concept is still there. It's just we have to adapt at how we get that to her and how we communicate with her.
Yeah, it's really about delivering the same customer service that she would have in store, but online as well, so that she feels like, okay, I'm getting this same experience. I mean, I think there is something to say about retail therapy, because can be very therapeutic, whether you are going to store or you take a break and like shop online. There is something to that, and I think they both complement each other. I think if you go into a store and they don't have your size, or they don't have the color you want it in, and you can look online and find it, or if you're not in a city or a country that carries the brand, I think it's really enabled us to have a much more global reach, because especially with the fact that now Instagram is so big, and and different celebrities and people are wearing our clothes, and that has a much bigger reach in other countries that you wouldn't normally think that they would even know our names, that they can buy it online if they want.
Has there been any one pivotal point in the business, any one particular thing you say, yeah, that's when we realized that we really had something? Was there one person who wore a dress of yours, one press comment, one collection? Was there that tipping point in your business, in your minds, that gave you comfort and confidence that, yeah, we've got something? It's a tough
I mean, there are a
question.
lot of
I mean, there may
moments-
not have been. I mean, you
There
know.
are a lot of moments along the way. I don't think it's a very clear cut, like this was part of it. I think, you know, I don't know, I'd almost say like fashion fun. That's a weird thing to say, but like, you keep your head down and you're working hard and you kind of live in your bubble, starting a business, and to kind of be part of that group, and it's kind of weird, and then be recognized in that
Talking
way.
about the Vogue Fashion
Vogue
Fund.
Fashion Fund. You kind of think that no, you're going unnoticed, and it's kind of a nice pause to be like, okay, maybe we're doing something right.
Was there a moment for you or the same?
I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, I think it's probably more from a retail perspective. Like the first time I saw someone wearing us on the street was the most exciting for me, because I was just like, okay, someone parted with their money to buy that dress, not like, you know, a celebrity who borrows the sample. You know, so for me, that was just like, okay, we're actually doing something that someone's gone into a store, probably not looking for that dress in particular, but saw it and was just like, oh, I love that, I've got to have that. So I think that was a special moment.
As creative people, ego plays a big part. Has to, because we're so emotional. I'm an author, I understand. You know, I read a bad review, and I could read 10 good reviews. I read one bad review, that's the one I remember. How do you deal with buyers who say, I don't like it, I don't want it? How do you deal with a bad press review? I mean, does it still affect you the way it did in the beginning of your careers?
I think definitely less so now, also because there's so much online that I feel like I don't even know if these reviews get read as much as they used to. And I think it would be a different thing if we got, I mean, we've never had like a season that's been like every review has been like a disaster. You know, you have good reviews and then there's, you know, the odd snarky comment or whatever. But I think, you know, I think for us, the biggest deal is, you know, as long as it sells out of the showroom really well and the buyers are responding to it, that's the most important thing to us.
I think at the end of the day, it's getting someone to buy into your vision. So if a buyer comes in and they don't like, it's just getting them to understand what you are trying to do. And I think that's part of the challenge and the fun of it, because when we started, we couldn't sell a crop top. I mean, if we had listened to the buyers, they were like, what is this proportion? No woman is going to want her skin showing here. I mean, you can see it everywhere now. And we had it on our first runway show, and believe me, the buyers' faces when we showed them, they were like, how much? Where's the rest of the top? Like, and we're like, no, really, like, you'll see. But you kind of have to be true to yourself, and you know, just.
I think that's why fashion directors now say, oh, they're trying to do Kushni.
Yeah,
You know,
well.
trying to imitate Kushni, because you've created that look and you own it. And I think that's really important in the fashion industry. So consistency, which again leads to my next question. How do you scale? How do you continue to grow and remain true to that DNA that you've established so well in the market?
You scale because, I mean, for us, we became very well known for our cocktail dresses. That was always our bread and butter, and something from the beginning that always sold really well for us. Plus, we became once we started dressing celebrities, we became quite popular on the red carpet, so that's what we were known for. For us, it was, from then on, we had to sort of re-educate our retailer a little bit to show them we do much more than dresses. We do great separates, great tops and pants and jackets, and really expand our knitwear so that our customer doesn't think that she can only come to us for after 6 o'clock. You know, we dress you for the whole day. And, you know, and so a lot more of our day pieces really sort of carrying through the essence of the brand, but, you know, are more casual pieces. It's sort of infusing the DNA to sort of every aspect of the collection as we grow it.
What are your plans for accessories and other extensions to the brand? I mean, being that you have such a clear DNA, it seems natural.
I mean, people use the word lifestyle, but we're two women. we've done the dresses, we've done the separates now, but, you know, when we're putting together something in our head or designing, like any woman getting dressed, we think about the shoe, we think about what bag we want to wear with it, we think about the coat that's going over it. And I think now, you know, we've secured an investment and we have the time and the ability now to really think about those other elements, because at the end of the day, we're still women getting dressed too, and we know what kind of shoe we want, and it's just the next chapter in Cushioning Knox. We know the shoe we want, we know what jewelry, we have done collaborations, but it'd be nice to explore that, because at the end of the day, we just don't design a dress and not think about her hair or her makeup. We think about all of that, and now being able to do those things, we can give her the full look that we've had in our head.
Makes perfect sense. We still have plenty of time. What have been the biggest challenges as two women in the industry? I mean, have you felt that being women has been a problem, an obstacle, or in our industry has it been neutral? Because we hear this a lot, you know, the glass ceiling and other
What do you
industries.
think? What do you think?
What do I think? I actually think that in many cases it inures to your benefit, because if the story is told properly, women designing for women, it makes perfect sense to me. And I've financed for 40 some odd years in this business, and I would say 30 to 40% of the companies I've financed have been female owned or designed. Not teams necessarily, but owned or designed. Years ago, it was an obstacle. The discussions with the retailers, all of that went on. It was kind of a man's game, and the boardroom discussions about who's getting what space and so on. But it's not quite like that any longer. I think now it's an advantage, and I think if you express it appropriately to the
maybe
audience,
in the sense that it's an advantage, in the sense that we're still unique.
Yes.
Which is, the fact that it's unique is a little unfortunate. But I think to be able to say that as a selling point, that we are women designing for women, is an advantage, because there's very few of us, especially in doing the kind of aesthetic that we have. There's not that many women in the designer price point. There's more women in the sort of contemporary price point, but there's very few of us. So I think it's become an advantage now because there's not that many.
Good, no, I agree with that. Where do you see the company 10 years from now? Where do you want to see the company 10 years from now? 5 years from now?
God, 10 years is a long way away.
10 years is a long way. 5 years from now, what's the vision for the brand?
Well, we will be expanding into shoes and bags within that 5 years. That's something very important to us, to really sort of expand, to have an entire collection, as well as our own retail store as well.
I was going to ask that question.
Yeah.
Do you feel that today it's important to a brand to be able to tell its story in its own retail space?
I think that's really I don't think you can tell the same message online as you can within the store. I think it's a different experience going into the store and really sort of having that experience.
It's exciting for us because, we've spent the first 8 years trying to get people to understand who we are. And now it just feels good that we've identified that in her, and to be able to showcase that in a clear way with the store. It seems so simple, but when no one knew your name, it was,
Sure.
You would long for that day. And now we're kind of here and we can make it very clear. And we've been very clear with our DNA, but we can be very clear with our aesthetic in all elements and tell that story. It's important.
Yeah, well, you recently entered Cadillac House with a pop-up retail shop. Could you explain that a little bit, what it is and what you've learned from it in this short period of time, and how you feel about it? I mean, first, let's explain to the audience what it is.
So it was an initiative with the CFDA, they, in conjunction with the Cadillac House. Cadillac House is on Hudson and Charlton Street, and it's a very beautiful location, Cadillac location, and they have this space at the back where CFDA had this competition and 5 designers won it, and you had the opportunity to have a store for 3 months. So each designer has it for 3 months. There'll be Prabal will be following us, Pamela Love, Public School, and Tanya Taylor. And you have the opportunity to completely design the space, curate it how you want, and it's been entirely sponsored by the CFDA and Cadillac. So it's been a great opportunity for us to really sort of test it out.
What have you learned from it?
I mean, it couldn't have come at a better time. We're really at this phase in our business where we're exploring that idea. So it was a great learning, and doing it with the CFDA and doing it in a smaller way. It's almost the same way we started. We're doing this organically and learning from this, but it's been amazing to kind of see it all come together. I mean, we've been at the helm of department stores and how they want to put it and where they want to put it and what they want to buy, and it really is a broader scope of the collection. It's being told in a way that we want to see it. It's surrounded in the way we see it, and I think it elevates the brand and that experience, and our woman understanding now, like, I love this dress and I might not have known who they were, but I know the fit, and it's taking her on this journey with us. And
I think the one thing that many designers don't realize when they go into retail is that it's not the same as wholesale.
no.
And I was talking to the owner and designer of a very large established brand recently, and they started opening numerous stores. And they did not hire a retail manager. They ran it as if it were an adjunct to their wholesale business. And they did not do the right sizing, they didn't have the right assortment, and the first season was a disaster. They then hired a retail manager, and they merchandised the stores very differently than your wholesale counts would merchandise, and it became extremely successful.
I mean, I think part of it is you have to think about her experience. Shopping is an experience, and you have to think about
Today.
that woman. Even if you're designing for her, you have to think, how is she going to want to shop for this? And I mean, we're shoppers. Like, no one wants a cold, a cold museum-like experience. Like, you want to come try clothes on. You
Correct.
want to look at clothes. Like,
And we've already learned certain things, even just because we've been open since October, that even just in terms of merchandising, how this works better if it's merchandised this way, if it's laid out like this, or we have these things hanging here or these things folded here. So it's already just even things that you think are small can make, a big difference.
Well, this is a great opportunity for you. So we have to wrap up. Is there anything you'd like to tell the audience about being entrepreneurs and being women in the workplace, and something really take away one little piece of advice or wisdom that you've learned along the way?
I mean, at the end, I think our approach to starting our business is that this is a business, and we were trained as designers, but at the end of the day, it's a business. And for us, like you said, seeing someone in your clothes, it doesn't do anything for us if we design something and it just sits on the floor. Like, the rest of the cycle is a woman buying it and wearing it and enjoying herself in it. And I think you have to think about that. And I think very often people get caught up in we're designers and we're business owners, and you wear 2 hats. And I think that's also still very unique with brands that are, heritage brands. I mean, the luxury of just designing and not dealing with the business element, that would be amazing. But you think about those things, and it does play back and forth with each other. And at the end of the day, we want people to wear clothes. So that really is what's important for us.
Right, because it's not art. It's not art in the sense that you're just buying it and putting it on a wall or something like that. It has to function. So for us, it's just, that's the most important part. And I think that's where being a woman really sort of comes into that sense.
I think that's why we're so aligned in our thinking. I've always said that fashion is the perfect balance of art and commerce. And all of us who envision ourselves as artists, if you recognize that the commerce piece is vital in order to have a career, it could be much more successful. So I think that's wonderful advice. And are we opening to questions?
Regrettably not.
No?
But what we can do, if you're willing, because we have another conversation that's coming up, is that at 45 minutes from now, everyone will be able to speak with you if you are open to that. You know what you have to ask.
I don't know that they're able to stay. They have to run a business.
Yeah.
We have no time, not even like 2 or 3 questions? Oh, come on. For me.
Okay, listen, it makes me sound like a real hard ass, but the problem is you guys are 10 minutes over, and it's my job to run the train, so 2 minutes, please.
Okay.
2 questions.
We might not even have any, but any questions from anybody that'd like to address?
Who is your client? Who is your celebrity client? And you talk about listening to your client. How do you listen to them?
It's we visit the stores. We get feedback from the sales staff on the floor. So they'll tell us, okay, maybe this is fitting a little big, or our customer that has a bigger chest is not liking it. Maybe it's for this type of customer. We need more things like this because this dress did really well and everyone loved it. So it's a lot of like going back to our stores and really understanding like what is selling well, what's working, what our customer really wants, and we even get feedback on Instagram too. Like we listen to that as well, because people will reach out to us and say, where can I get this? Oh, I love this. I wore this for my wedding or whatever. So, we listen as much as we can because,
The other half of the question was, who's your customer?
The celebrity customer, or you said? Or, we have a vast age range of, I think our biggest misconception in the past is that, our stuff is mainly for size zeros, which is not the case at all. And, it's a very strong, sexy woman who's working, who's a mother, who's many faceted. So someone who's definitely not a wallflower and likes to stand out in a room, but very modern and very sleek. We've dressed everyone from Rihanna to the First Lady, Michelle Obama. So Charlize Theron to Halle Berry, Jennifer Lopez. We've dressed all kinds of women. So.
Do you design specifically for those women, or do they come to you
They wear
off the rack?
they wear the runway samples.
Runway, most of the time, we've not done too much custom, except for the First Lady, But, that is a misconception that we're size zero. When we talk about fit, Carly and I are 2 different body shapes. Fit really comes about shape and women with curves, and we love and celebrate that, and that you can be sexy at any size, and even when it comes to casting for the runway, we look to represent different body shapes or diversity.
Yeah, no, even Ashley Graham, who's a well-known plus-size model, she's worn us several times and loves the fit of our clothes. So, we're very conscious of a woman's body.
One more.
How are you funded? And can you talk a little bit about your team?
Oh, no, the team has grown. So initially, it was just private up until November and
Last year.
and it became, our business had grown to a point where we felt like we could pursue, and we did secure an investment, and that's given us the opportunity now to do the type of things that we want to do and actually be in a good moment for us. And we've tripled in size. We went, up until last year, we were 5 people, including me and Carly. And now we're 17. So that just gives the scope of what's to come.
Okay, I think that's it.
Now comes the Fleetwood Mac concert moment, which
Oh, God.
is 2 more questions.
Okay.
2 more questions.
Oh, 2 more?
Another encore.
Oh.
Perfect.
Wow.
Let's go. Any other questions before we have to end the day? No. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
That didn't hurt, did it?
No, you got us out of the office.